Welcome back to the Dirt Road Mafia YouTube channel. Today, got a little different type of video for you. We're going to dive into some questions about a career in welding. Should you be a welder? What type of welder you should need? And what welding process is the best, in my opinion. And just go into some general nature of the welding procedures. Should I become a welder? Well, that's really up to you. If you've got the passion for fabrication and metal and the art of stitching with fire and putting two pieces of metal or even aluminum, stainless together, welding could be for you. The welding process is neat. It allows you to be creative and just opens up the world for all kinds of different things. Welding, I think, is something everybody should learn, at least to be well enough to stick two pieces of metal together. In the emergency circumstances that something breaks, your lawnmower deck wheel breaks off or splits open, you're out on the trail on a four-wheeler or a side-by-side, something breaks. The ability to fix that could save you all kinds of money. It's always cheaper if you can do the work yourself, which is kind of shooting myself in the foot because I do welding for the general public. But if you can do it, give it a shot. Even if it don't look good, as long as the weld is strong, penetrates in the metal, and does its job, it'll be worth it in the end. I also want to note on that, should I become a welder? I seen something the other day on YouTube, and also seen it on TikTok and just the general web, that by 2025, we're going to need an additional like 300,000 welders. So it could be a good time to get into it. No time like the present, they always say. Benefits of being a welder. Well, as I said before, the benefit is there is a need for welders right now. There is a need for fabricators right now. There's a need for people to build. You know, majority of the structures is made out of wood, metal, brick, block, stone, whatever. And I've seen even some homes now has a metal steel skeleton inside. That would drive the need for a welder. A commercial building, majority of those are all metal structures. And that requires a welder, structural welder, which I'll get into later, the difference between structural, pipe, fabrication, and your all around welder. That'll come later. But that would be the benefit. Financially, it's great. The ability to be able to stitch welds, metal together, welding, the ability to build and fabricate could be very financially upholding, I should say. So that would be just a small benefit of becoming a welder. Plus, becoming a welder, you get the wealth of knowledge of what angles and using angle finders and center finders and just hands-on tools that you could use even outside of welding. And you can use some of the nature that you learn from welding to carry on to other procedures and other things in life. Use the mindset of a welder even when you're not on a welding project. That can help you all throughout life. So that could be a small benefit of becoming a welder. Next question could be on the job training, school, whether that be Votech or college or welding institute, welding school, whatever have you. And myself, I took some welding in vocational school, picked up on it that I really enjoyed it. It's something that I'd like to do, and it's something that I've done quite often throughout life. Off and on, welding has been always in the back of my mind that somebody needs something welded, call him up and he'll stitch it together for you. And I didn't go to school for it. I took it in vocational in high school. If you are a high schooler in school and you have the ability to take a welding class, I would do it. It's something that you'll use throughout life, and it's one of those tasks and something that'll deep set in your mind that I promise you will use sometime down the road, whether you make a career out of welding or whether you don't. It's something that you will use in life at least once. The ability to weld, like I said, opens all kinds of doors. So whether you go to school or you just do on-job training, there's benefits and there's rewards and there's some downfalls of however you want to go about it. On the job training, I feel, is the best way to go because you get the hands on experience. And many of these companies, like shops and fabrication places, they're willing to give somebody a shot for that, that don't know that much about welding, just willing to give them a shot at maybe making this a career. They're willing to give people a shot to get the younger generation into this type of trade. So I think on the job experience would be better. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to school outside of VOTEC. I think if you're in high school and you have the opportunity to take VOTEC, you should take the vocational welding classes. But as far as welding college, I didn't do it. I feel like that it's very beneficial if you decide to go that route. I just didn't. I decided that I'd got my experience and I wasn't sure if I would ever use this. But even through high school, outside of school, I was doing welding, so I knew that it was kind of a passion to do this type of stuff. So I felt like I should go to college maybe, but I weighed out the options and I decided to just go out in the field, get some hands on experience to better my craft and go about that route. There's no wrong way, and really there's no right way at this. That's just my opinion. Favorite type of welder? As far as brands, growing up, when I was in vocational school and back home, Lincoln Electric was the top notch. And I'm going to tell you why I favored Lincoln Electric when I was younger. And this is going to be funny, but just remember, I was a teenager at the time and I was wanting to fall into that stereotype just like everybody else that was in the welding career that I seen. And that was because I liked how their logo looked. I liked the Lincoln Electric logo. Simple as that. I seen all these guys with Lincoln Electric welders, Lincoln Electric welding gloves, jackets, hoods. I liked the logo. And that's what everybody was wearing. I wanted to be like those guys. That's why I fell into Lincoln Electric being my favorite when I was younger. Now, I don't really care. There's so many different brands coming out. Now, you've got brands like Yes Welder, that green, I think Forney makes welders now. You've got the Harbor Freight Chicago Electric and the Vulcan, which I've heard is a really good brand, really top notch. But now, as long as it welds, it throws beads, does its job, and it's reliable, that's what matters to me. I don't care. But I think right now, if I had to put the top two welders, it would be Lincoln Electric and Miller. Not sure which one I'd put first. I'm really loving my Miller machine. I've never really dealt with Miller that much. In high school, we welded with a few Millers, majority Lincoln Electric, like I said. But these blue machines are really growing on me. And if you look out in the field on service trucks, anything that really gets used and abused and run hard, these blue machines are the ones that's out there. So Miller, Lincoln Electric will probably be my favorite brands. Gasoline, diesel, engine driven, or an electric welder you plug up to the wall. In my type of job, I'm mobile, even though I do a little shop work for myself and what have you. I think an engine driven welder is the way to go. I've thought that way for years, and I know that some people can't afford one. Some people just don't have the availability to even have one, haul one around to be mobile. But I know guys that's got these engine driven welders sitting in their shop on a skid with some wheels, roll it out into the outside of the garage so you don't get sleepy in the middle of your welding in your shop. If you know, you know. But that would be my opinion. Engine driven is the way to go. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a 220 welder or even a 110 welder. I don't favor 110 welders. I feel like they're very cold. They don't penetrate material unless you've got very thin material. 110 welder could get you by on like these new pressed welding decks, very thin sheet metal, and smaller jobs. But I feel like to do anything that you're going to depend your life on and you that it has to stick together, a 220, 240, same thing, but something that can really run some current, get up into the amps of, over 100, 125, 150 amps. I feel like something you have to have. So I'm not really saying I'm biased towards anything, but engine driven will be my preference. I have a Lincoln Buzzbox Tombstone 225 AC welder that's probably from the 70s, and it welds just as good as the day it was probably made back in the 70s. It's between the 60s and 70s. Some of you probably seen it on my channel here, but it runs good. Plug it in, flip the switch, turn the knob to what you need, and you're ready to go. This engine driven, I feel like it's the way to go. Even in shop time, like I said, put it on a skid, roll it out so you don't get sleepy in your shop from the carbon monoxide poisoning, and get to work. You've got all the plug-ins. You don't need to be chasing extension cords around. If you're close enough to your welder, just plug it in. Use your grinders, hand tools, whatever you might need. Plus, you've got welding access on the same machine. My opinion, engine driven. Favorite type of engine driven welder? Kind of falls into another question I done answered, but I'm going to have to say Lincoln Electric or Miller. It's going to be my two favorites. I've heard a lot of good things about that new Vulcan Outlaw 195 that the Hobo Freight's putting out now, which is extremely hard to find. I ain't even going to lie. When I was trying to find me an engine-driven welder for this mobile rig, I've just about bought one of those 195 Outlaws from the Harbor Freight. But nobody within a 200-mile radius of me had one in stock. I called the local Harbor Freight, and they were saying they were like a month out on getting one, even if I ordered it. And then that wasn't set in stone that I would have it. So I needed something right then, right now. So we went to the Bobcat 225, which I'll go over in another video. I'm very happy with that. But any kind of Lincoln Electric, you know, your 225s, 250s that they make are excellent welders. I used one of those, I would say 500 hours out on a mobile rig. That wasn't mine. I was actually renting it from equipment rental back in Virginia. But it done everything I ever asked it to do. It done absolutely everything that I wanted it to do, plus more. And I was very happy with the plug-ins, running the hand tools off the same machine, not having to chase around, where's the plug-in, where I went somewhere. Because out on these mobile jobs, that could make it or break it. If you come up and you got a grinder, hey bud, you got an extension cord and plug in, I can run this grinder off of, that could make you lose a job. So the ability to plug into the front of your engine driven, that's what it is. As far as gas or diesel, as far as engine driven, really it depends on what type of rig you're running. If you're running a diesel truck, get you a diesel welder. So you can just fill up the truck, pop up, fill up the welder, all in the same gig. I've got a gas truck, so I chose for a gas welder. That was my thoughts. Feel like a lot of other people see the same thing that I've talked to out in the field. If you've got a gas truck, get the gas welder. Diesel truck, get the diesel welder. Rig or shop welder. Really, that comes down to what does your area need? Do you need more people to be able to go out in the field and do things on farms, mining equipment, trucking, out on the road, on the side of the road? Or do you need somebody that can sit in the shop, fabricate things, have customers come by, drop projects off for you to weld, have customers bring in things that they need fixed? What does your area need? My opinion, rig welder is the way to go because out on the road, 24-hour, 7 days a week, people need things in a hurry. A big truck could be broke down on the side of the road with axle broke, frame cracked, anything. Mining equipment in the coal mines in this area, something could happen and they got to pull a piece of equipment outside, something's broke. You could go onto site and get that welded. Whereas the cost to bring such equipment to you could be astronomical and just not feasible. Or you could drive your rig to them, get it done on their site, plus a little more convenient. There's nothing wrong with a shop welder. I had both at one time. I had a welding rig and a shop that I done welding work out of, and both were somewhat successful. I done a lot more work on the road, mobily, with my rig welder than what I did in the shop, which was fine with me because I don't like staring at the same four walls every day, doing a somewhat same task every day. I like every day waking up, facing a new challenge, and the adventure of it. Going out in the field, no jobs are the same. Each job is going to be totally different, even if you're doing the same thing. You're going to have different variables as far as the weather, what type of material you're working with, the shape of the material that it's in. It could be rusted real bad. That could be a challenge, but that's also part of the adventure. Cleaning up your metal, and nothing been the same. I don't like that, staring at the four walls every day. So I'm going to say, my opinion, rig welder is the way to go. What type of welding process do I like the best? Well, that's a difficult question. There's a need for all types of welding: stick, MIG, TIG, underwater, sub arc. whatever have you. There's a need for all of that. But back to my personal opinion, I love stick welding. I'm old fashioned, and there's nothing better than an old stick welder. Back in the day, these farmers, they lived and breathed stick welders. 6013, 7018 welding rods, I guarantee you'll find in every barn across America. An old stick welder, there's nothing better. MIG and TIG has its extreme place. MIG, I feel, is great for the shop welder. Inside, just convenient. Pull a trigger, lay a bead, stitch the metal together. TIG, you get into a little more complicated process, which there's a need for that too. Specialty metals, stainless, TIG's the way to go. I just prefer stick welding. That's what majority of my life that I've done is stick welding. I've had MIG welders, and MIG's got its place, like I said, but the true test of time and being old fashioned like myself, stick welders are nothing better. Pipe, structural, or all around welding. So I enjoy all around welding. I like to just perfect my craft for absolutely anything I might face. Even though I've done some structural welding, I've done some pipe welding, I feel like the all around welder covers all three of those categories. Even the majority of my career, as far as welding, has been oil field related, as far as drilling rigs, pipeline, etc. That's been majority of my career, and I've really enjoyed every bit of it. As far as setting well heads on drill rigs, welding drill pipe, drill steel, doing some completion work outside of the welding career when I took a break. I've done some structural welding as far as carports and metal buildings in the past, and there's a huge need for structural welding. If you can perfect and be certified to do structural welding, that's huge. The possibilities are endless. I'm in a very small town in eastern Kentucky, so there's not much of a need for structural welding here as far as commercial buildings and skyscrapers. But in the cities, they're always building, always innovating and renovating. So the need for structural welders are huge in these bigger cities, and that requires a special craft, a special certification to be able to meet code and to meet the requirements to be able to stitch together restaurants, commercial buildings, and skyscrapers, because that's stuff you don't want to skip out on and fall in. That could be a bad day. Pipelining and pipe welding, you've got pipe fence, you've got water pipes, gas pipes, steam pipes in paper mills, you've got pipes in industrial settings. It's endless also as far as pipe welding. But like I said, majority of my career has been based around oil field related drill rig type work. So that's what I'm going to say. Pipe welding's pretty much my favorite, but I like all around welding, whether it be from farms, trucking, out in the field, welding on a piece of equipment, logging, mining, whatever. The all around welder is going to be my favorite. Pipeline and oil field holds that true place in my heart. PPE, personal protection equipment, to be a welder or safely do your job as a welder. A whole lot of this is going to be personal preference, but I'm just going to give you the basic knowledge and the reasons why I say this is what you're going to need. You get the gist. First of all, a good set of welding gloves. Good and thick. Got a long cuff on them. Come up on your arm. Your long sleeves will go down in them, protect you from sparks. And they're good and thick in the palm. Usually got some reinforcements. Make sure all the seams are covered, good and thick, protect you from getting burnt. They do restrict your ability to pick up small stuff, and they can get aggravating. These are also, a lot of people don't know this, so this is your first line of defense from not only getting burnt, but also getting shocked. You want to keep these dry, very dry. Never weld with wet welding gloves. I actually know a guy that was killed on a pipeline job because he had wet gloves. In the AC welding world, so most of these welders got the DC capabilities, which I'm not saying you can't get shocked with DC, but AC is absolutely nothing to play around with. DC isn't either, but I'm getting to rambling. Welding gloves are a must. Protect you from the heat, stop getting burnt from the sparks, and things get hot. You're melting metal together. So that's a given. Things are going to be hot. Gloves. Wear them. Second of all, protective sleeves. Protective sleeves. Even though you're going to have a long sleeve shirt on, or I'm going to recommend you do, put these sleeves on. That's just an extra layer. It doesn't take that long. Just pull them on. Just like that. It's also got a good cuff. You can put your glove on. And there you go. Protected. And I'm going to tell you one of the benefits to this is if you got something real hot and it's real sparky, you know what I'm saying. If you're a welder, things will set here, stuff will go down in your glove, and I've seen it work down the back of your hand, and you're in a rush to get this glove off. I've also seen cases where you slide your glove on and your long sleeve shirt pushes up, and then you've got a gap at the top of your glove onto your long sleeve shirt. This, you put your glove on, you ain't rolling this up. It's tight. So that's another thing. Plus, it's just that extra layer. If you got to brace yourself against something, there you go. Next, long sleeve shirt. Let me note this. Most of the time, stripes ain't required. And you're going to know. You work on mining equipment, on job sites, mining, you're going to have these stripes. That's why my shirts have the stripes. You're going to know also if it's flame resistant. It'll say right here on the tag, flame resistant. And there should be a tag. Could be wrong. Nope. Right here. It will tell you everything you need to know about this fabric. Read over this. It'll tell you how to wash it. Fabric softener on FR is a no-no. Do not do it. People will tell you that it doesn't affect things. Just don't do it. If this tag tells you not to do something, don't do it. That's my advice. Next is a welding hood. This is just your typical welding hood. That's going to be what saves your old peepers from burning out of your head. I was a teenager. Like I said before, I welded quite a bit with the old safety squints and thought I had my eyes closed. I was even under the theory at one point in time that I was a super welder because I didn't get welding flash. I could watch the welder in vocational school. Sorry if my teacher sees this, but I would watch the weld, never burn my eyes. Until the night before prom. I welded that day without my welding shield. Oh, I woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, no light, pitch black in my room. But there was a light in the hallway coming underneath the door. And when I looked underneath the door, I would start crying. That's flash burn. You don't want it. There's also two different kinds of welding shields as far as just the old flip hood. You've got an auto darkening, which is what I prefer. And you've got the old trusty fixed shade. This stays dark all the time. And I'm going to tell you, this is another piece of my opinion, you could say, but I think you should learn how to weld through a fixed shade welding hood. And why I'm going to say that is because batteries. Some of these are solar powered, some has batteries. This has solar and battery. Fancy. But you could be out in the field and you're auto darkening and just not click the dark. Then you're in trouble. That's why I carry two welding shields or hoods with me at all times. Just in case my auto darkening just decides to take a vacation that day, I'm not losing a job. Fixed shade has its benefits, but auto darkening is the best way to go. But you should learn on the fixed shade just so you can know to. That's a whole different video, setting up your welding hood to be able to run a fixed shade, because that's a personal preference. I feel like how a welding hood should be set up. If you're running fixed shade, there's a little trick, and I'll get into that on another video. If you'd like to see that, you can comment. Tell me about the welding hoods, and I'll make that video for you. Also, there's pancake hoods. If you're working out in the field mobily, I feel like a pancake welding hood could be very beneficial, because if you've got this on and there's sun behind you, there's going to be sun reflecting off this glass in here, and that it can hinder your view just enough where you might not lay down a perfect bead, have undercut, not have a good quality weld. It takes time to be able to fight these variables if you're out in the field and not in a shop. In a shop, an auto darkening is absolutely the only way to go. But out in the field, you're going to be fighting that, your hood flipping up. If it's sitting in the sun up on your head, it's probably going to be dark. And that's killing your battery power for your auto darkening feature. You can turn it off on some welding hoods to where it don't click. The welding hood that I have that's auto darkening has a grind mode, which is handy because you can flip your shield down and grind with it, whatever have you. That's my personal preferences. I feel like everybody should learn on a fixed shade, and everybody needs to have an auto darkening because that's a nice feature. But back to that pancake welding hood. The pancake is a box that sits on your face and it fits pretty firm all around your face. Just got a strap around the back. It's usually a round thing, and whichever side you weld with, you're going to have a side to kind of cover the side of your face to protect your face. But that blocks all the light from the back coming in, so it's dark on your eyes. As you notice, if you if you're out in the sun, you want to shield your eyes so you can see. It's the same principle. Light can't get in. So the only thing you're seeing is that weld right in front of you, which you should be focusing on. My opinion, pancake hood, you can get auto darkening and fixed shade for those pancake hoods. Pancake hoods run into a big expensive thing if you're real picky about lens colors, but there's all kinds of varieties. It's a smaller lens, smaller thing. This was one of the bigger options as far as auto darkening. Most auto darkening's like maybe half of this, but this is the bigger screen, you should say. So that's why I went with it. As I was saying, apparently my camera thinks it's hot too. But that's why I went with that particular welding hood because it had the bigger lens in it. But personal preference, pancake, auto darkening. Side work for the public. I think if you've got the ability and the knowledge and the know-how to weld for other people, why not? Shoot you up. Go for it. What are you going to lose? The only thing you're going to do is protect your craft, stay even better, and plus make some of that money. And money makes the world go round. So do I think side work for the public is something you should do if you have the ability? Absolutely. I'm not saying that you shouldn't just buy a welder and do stuff for your own, build stuff, get creative. But that money in the end is what's going to allow you to better equipment, more field knowledge, see better situations, face more challenges, and just fabricate the craft of welding. What could you do to become a better welder? Well, first of all, if you're into stick welding, old fashioned like me, get you a box of welding rods of different kinds 6011, 6013, 7013, 7018s, anything. And just get you a piece of metal and just start laying beads. Lay a bead right beside of it, lay a bead beside of it, lay a bead. Just burning welding rods. Practice. Practice makes perfect. Firm believer in that. If you got a MIG welder or a TIG welder, sure, just go out in the garage or in your shop. Just burn. Turn that machine on and just burn. Lay some beads, burn some rods, TIG away, and just fabricate the craft of welding. There's nothing like practice. And if you want to become better, laying those beads, just practicing. That's the best way to become a better welder. When you get out in the field and you're not sure about a situation, don't be scared of it. Take it on. Take it on headstrong. Go on. Be confident within yourself. If you're confident in yourself, you can do it. It may not come out exactly as you planned, but there's always that time to fix your mistakes if they come up. And then you come back to that time when you had that steel plate or just scrap metal and you were laying those beads and you were getting better every bead. Go back to that. Run that better bead. We all start from somewhere. So you have to start to get better. So get out, warm up some metal, burn some rods, lay some MIG wire, burn some filler metal on that TIG machine. Just practice. You'll get there. Don't get discouraged. My opinion, welding opens a world of opportunities for absolutely anybody that's interested in this trade. Plus, financial gain of being able to weld could be astronomical. So become that better welder. Just practice. Also like to add to that PPE video, your steel toe boots. Every job site I've ever worked on has required steel toed boots. And please, dear heaven above, do not tuck your pants in your boots. I know, it could be muddy, could be brutal out in the field, but when you get a spark run down your pants leg into your boots, you're going to wish you hadn't. Ask me how I know. I know mud boots out in the field are great. And if you're going to wear mud boots, make sure they got the elastic around the top that'll grip your calf tight so nothing gets down there. Word of advice. There you go. Also, welding caps. You got to protect the old noggin from getting burnt. Welding caps is a total different video that I need to make. But you see this little bill? That can go on to the side like such. Cover your ear. Stop getting sparks in your ear. Because you get a spark in your ear, you're not only going to have a bad day, you're going to have a very bad day. You get a spark in your ear. Also, you can wear it backwards. Kind of fold the bill up. That'll keep the sparks off your neck because they'll sit there and then roll off onto your shirt. Whatever if they stay that hot. That's the rest of my PPE video. Also, bonus content for the end of the video. If you know anything about these Cayman, they're deerskin gloves, let me know. Let me know how they're holding up. I bought a pair, bit the bullet, paid $45 for a pair of welding gloves. But to protect those hands, I feel like it's going to be well worth it. I've not used them yet. So I'm calling out welders out there. If you're running the Cayman, called Revolutions, deerskin gloves, super comfortable glove by the way. I've just not welded in them. But if you're out there using them, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about it. Thank y'all for coming by today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed making it. If you want to see more videos like this, just kind of a Q&A, let me know. Drop some questions down in the comments section. Comment those questions, and subscribe. What are you doing? Come on. Let a feller have it down in the comments section about those questions. Thank y'all for coming by. See ya. Peace.